Looking for something different to do? Here's my top 3 plants that you could be foraging today. Let's dig in. It'll make your heart, make your garden grow. Thanks for tuning in to Fanfare for the Conscious. My name is Rick. This is Sustainable City Steading. So we're probably all looking for something different to do, something a little bit more interesting, something perhaps we've not done before. And I suggest that you use a little bit of your free time outside to do a bit of foraging. And I'm going to give you 3 really easy plants that you can go out today. They're very versatile, that you can pick and you can do lots of different things with them. Dead easy to identify. So let's get into it. Plant number 1 is one that you would easily recognise and probably have some rather unpleasant memories of from when you were a child, and that would be nettles. More specifically, stinging nettles. Now, nettles are a voracious weed that can be found pretty much anywhere in the country, from backyards to scrubland to canal sides, road verges, anywhere you can find these nettles. Though I would advise, going away from sources of pollution like road traffic and potential dog walking areas for the very obvious reasons when you're picking your nettles. However, they are considered a superfood. They are very high in iron, vitamins A, vitamin D, and minerals, and they're actually 20% dry weight by protein. An incredibly versatile plant. You can use them in place of spinach, anywhere that you would use cooked spinach, and they're also the source of the very infamous nettle soup, which we'll be having a go at making on this channel. Obviously, you can't eat the nettles themselves raw, simply because of the sting, which everyone will be very familiar with from childhood. Nettle root is also purported to have anti-inflammatory and pain-relieving properties when prepared as a tea or as an alcohol infusion. So get out there, find yourself a good patch of nettles, away from where the dogs are being walked, away from the traffic, away from where there might be any herbicides or pesticides being sprayed, and have a go at picking some. You generally want to take the top 4 to 6 leaves from the nettles because that is where the leaves are the most tender and will provide the most flavour. And you can also actually use nettles to create a nettle beer. Now, I made this one last year and it was absolutely delicious, and I will be showing you again in the upcoming weeks how that you can make this wonderful, light, summery, almost cidery kind of drink. It's really, really nice, and I'm looking forward to showing you all about how you can use this in your cooking. Moving on swiftly to plant number 2, dandelions. Dandelions are a prolific weed which can be found on lawns, in hedgerows, growing in cracks between pavements, all over the British countryside and urban environments, suburban environments, anywhere. Once again, like with nettles, you do want to be trying to stay away from dog walking paths and any sources of pollution when you're picking these plants. And also, please try not to pick all of the flowers in a given area, because they're actually really, really great attractor for bees. And we all know how important bees are at keeping our plants pollinated so that we can have really good food. Now, all parts of the dandelion are actually edible, from the yellow flowers to the leaves to even the roots. The flowers themselves are best picked as early in the day as possible, in full sun, and you want to take the biggest, bushiest dandelion heads that you could possibly find. Do remember that when you pick them, they are going to start to close up, so it can be useful to actually either pick or snip all the petals off right there and then, the moment that you pluck it off the stem. If you do have to wait until later and you leave it a bit too long, you will find that some of those flower heads have started to close up, and that makes it difficult to separate those yellow petals from the really quite bitter green material of the dandelion flower. The petals themselves can be eaten raw as part of a salad. You can cook them in perhaps a risotto, and they can actually be made into what's supposed to be quite a nice syrup, dandelion honey. Dandelion flowers are also a really good source of wild yeast, which could be great if you wanted to make a wild brew or a sourdough perhaps. When picked young, the leaves are very tender and make a great addition to any summery salad, and the root can be used like any root vegetable, like a carrot or a parsnip, can be thrown in stir fries or even dried and ground and made into a coffee substitute. Coming in with plant number 3, a less famous example, but one that you will, a lot of you will probably still know, that is wild garlic. Now keep a listen out at the end of the video, because I do have one more little bonus plant for you. But you can find wild garlic growing in damp woodlands and in shady hedgerows. It's quite low down to the ground and it has white flowers. And the wild garlic is best picked before the flowers have properly opened. The flavour of the leaves themselves does actually change a little bit once the flowers have opened, and it does start to get a little bit more bitter. Like with a lot of the things that you forage, you're better off going for younger examples, as they will be a little bit tender and a little bit less sharp on the tongue. Leaves themselves can be just plucked straight out of the ground. As the flower heads, I would suggest just pinching just beyond the bulge of the bulb and pulling quite gently until the flower head itself just pops off the stem. The leaves and flowers of this plant are both edible, and the flavour is milder than wild garlic, though like I say, if you do pick those leaves a little bit later once the flowers have opened, then you might find that the leaves themselves can be a little bit sharp. Wild garlic can be added to soups, sauces and omelettes, and it can be used to infuse olive oil or to make pesto, which we're going to have a go at in the next video. And my little bonus for you guys is going to be garlic mustard. Now you can use garlic mustard in very similar ways to the way I've just discussed with wild garlic, and the flavour is actually a little bit more subtle, so you can possibly even use it on salads, maybe even on sandwiches. And the reason I want to bring this one up is because we did try making some wild garlic pesto. My girlfriend found it was a little bit too sharp and perhaps a little bit too strong on the garlic end, so you could obviously substitute the wild garlic for garlic mustard instead. Thanks for tuning in again, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video, and that just leaves me to say don't forget to rate, comment and subscribe if you want more content just like this. Looking forward to seeing you all in the next one. Take care. It'll make your